Make some lobster raviolis, and first we're going to boil up this mirepoix for about a half hour. Then we will boil the lobster. So the pan has to be big enough for whatever amount of lobster you're going to use. I'm going to use a 1.25 pound lobster, and it's going to make quite a few raviolis. You will learn what a good ravioli tastes like opposed to the raviolis that you have bought on the outside, and how many you can make from a lobster that cost $14, then the rest of the ingredients here and a little more, etc., etc. So for about $16 you'll see how many raviolis you can make. That's boiled long enough. So now I'll remove all the vegetables. It's a shame to waste this, but you know, if you were making rice and you didn't want to use any kind of stock, yeah, you got a perfect stock here, vegetable stock. And if you dice these up even smaller, you could just add them to the rice. Good enough. And that is enough water, because as soon as I drop them in there, flame is on high. He's finished right away. It's alive. Now I'm not taking the rubber bands off out of fear that he's going to bite me. So I'll put him in here, and after about a minute I'll cut the rubber bands off so I don't pick up that rubbery taste in there, if there is such a thing. I could cut the bands off right now, because he's not going anyplace. Now we'll give him 7 minutes, set the timer. Well, that's it. Time's up. Now there's still plenty of juice inside this lobster. So, putting it in a bowl. Putting this bowl in the refrigerator for about 3 hours. The meat should tighten up by then, so it's easier to take out. Not when it's warm. Or when it's warm it's easy, but I want to work on it when it's cold, so I'm putting this in the refrigerator for 3 hours. Meanwhile, right there, you save that, because this is going to be for the sauce and the filling. So just take the knife and if you go through the other side, it's a little bit thicker. So this way just pull the meat out. Save it. I'm going to boil up the skin, the shell on this also again. Everything came out. Just back in there. Just break. See? Juice just shot out of there, and you don't want to lose that. Put that there, and we're going to crack it over here because If you do it over the board, you're going to lose everything. And this comes right out after you take the small claw. Come on, baby. Need some help? I never have this problem. There you go. The claw's got a lot of meat. Don't sneak any pieces for yourself here. That's the end of that. So far we have this much. It's going to make a lot. So continue like that. And then this, we're not getting anything out of here, but we're going to cook this up. Open this. All of this is full of flavor. We'll put the stock back in there and boil this. We'll do the other claw, and then the knuckle, this piece. Crack it, take the meat out. The same thing. I'm going to work right over this, and then we're going to continue. That's the amount of meat taken out. You know, this is a great little item. Makes it easier to get all the meat out of the knuckle here, crack them in half, take it out. This is going to make quite a few lobster raviolis. Now we're going to put the stock back in here. Now if you tasted the liquid right after taking the lobster out, you really couldn't taste anything. Now you're going to taste something. And I'm not putting any wine in here. It's the same reason, because when I take out the shells and I strain it, what's going to be there's going to be wine wasted on the shell. I'll do all of the wine and the brandy later. Now while we're waiting for that, finally mince up the garlic and the shallots. You know, while it's cooking, just break it up a little bit more. Then taste the juice. Only now does that taste like lobster. Before it still tasted like vegetable stock. That's why this is very important, this step. Now while that's going on, we have to take care of making the thick cream sauce, which I have a recipe for, but this one's a little bit different because it's going to be plain. I'm not putting any onion or anything in this, because I have plenty of items to go in there later. This has to be very hot, the half and half. So I put that in the microwave. Let's get that hot. And then as soon as that butter melts, we're going to add the flour to it. We're going to thicken up that sauce. That sauce is going to be used to bind the lobster and whatever else we have together as the filling. And also some of it's going to be used for the sauce. So we have a nice thin roux. And we're going to add the, this is usually thicker. This is a thicker type roux than I make if I'm making sauces, like for meats and stuff. But I want that hot half and half to blend right into this without having any lumps. And this is ready. And the lobster's still cooking. And while this is going to be cooking here, now that the shallots and garlic are done, now we have to dice up the lobster in very small pieces because it's for ravioli. Now that the cream is nice and hot, just add it to the roux. This will take a few minutes, but this will really thicken up. And we want this thick because it's a binder. That's why if you look at my thick cream sauce recipe, that's what its primary use is. And as soon as this starts to bubble, just lower it to simmer for about 10 minutes. I didn't put any bay leaves or onion in here or anything because I had everything. Actually, I should, but I'm not because I'm sauteing shallots later and I had bay leaves over there. But I will put a bay leaf in here. See how thick it is and smooth. So just cut it down to a simmer. Let that simmer away. With that bay leaf because I don't want anybody crying that I didn't put it in there since it belongs in there. And this is nice and thick and will be thicker later. Just right for what we have to use it for. And I'm not straining this. Even though all professionals do that, if you notice, it's a binder. It's not like you're going to see this sauce. It's going to be mixed with the garlic, shallots, and the lobster. But if you want to be really professional about it, go right ahead and strain that. I will not condemn you for it. Now we'll put a, no, we don't have to season this at all. It's a stuffing, so the stuffing will be seasoned later. And this is like perfect. The exact amount of roux for 1 pint of half and half. Oh, there's nothing dietetic about this recipe, and there's no way of getting around it. This is how this has to be. You're not going to make this more than maybe once a year. Now let's see how we're doing over here. Nice, very nice. I think we are done on this. I'm not going to get much more out of it. All you have to do is just taste the stock. That is pure lobster flavor. From this you could make lobster bisque. But we're making lobster raviolis, so we need this for the sauce and some to go into the, very little to go into the filling. Alright, so the messy part now. So we're going to take these pieces, put them into the chinois. And just press them a little bit, all of these type pieces. Not the shell. Just part of the body. Squeeze that in. If you listen to that, a lot of stock, a lot of juice is coming out of that. Now the rest we're going to strain through the chinois, throw out the shells. Now the cream sauce is ready and warm. and the strained stock is a good amount, and we're going to keep that warm because we're going to start putting together the stuffing. So now the lobster's diced up, hopefully. This is the part I enjoy, making the stuffing. We'll melt that butter, throw in the garlic and the shallots. I said mince it up fine, but that's not what I did. Why? Because I like to see little pieces, but you can make larger or smaller. It's up to the individual. So we're sweating these up. Now we don't want to brown this. Sweat it up a little like so. Smells good already. Get the white wine ready. Give it another second. So this, the wine will be measured, and the rest you're going to have to visually take it in, because you'll just see, and it's not that difficult. I don't want to measure the stock or the cream sauce, but I'm going to add a little bit of each, and you'll see how much. If it goes one way or the other, a little bit more or less, don't worry about it. But this I'm measuring. That's a quarter cup for them and quarter cup for me. Now, since everything is hot, the only thing that is not hot is the lobster. So we're going to get the lobster. We're going to get ready to put the lobster in here in a minute. Let this reduce just a little bit. Remember what I said about buying items? So we're going to put some cognac in there. And I didn't buy the cheapest bottle, and I didn't buy the most expensive bottle. And how often do you use it anyway? I don't drink this stuff. It's only used for cooking. So it's going to sit there for a couple of years, unless I make a lot of recipes like this using brandy. Okay, this is going to be good. Now I'm going to use a little cayenne pepper for a little bite instead of using white, and sea salt. No, this is going to be no stopping the film now. So we just put in a quarter cup of wine. I have to write this down because I'm making the recipe as I go. And the scallions will be added at the very end, just before we're ready to take it off the stove. Okay. Are we good there? Are we good? Yes, we're good. Now we're going to add the lobster. All that delicious chopped up lobster, which looks even more now than it was earlier. That's because after it's cut up, make a nice lobster roll out of this too. Easy to do. And then save the stock. You make a lobster roll out of this, and you make lobster bisque out of the stock. Very nice. So now we're going to put cream sauce. Now you see the amount of lobster that's in there, okay? First we'll add the, I'll give you the exact amount. I'm just going to put 1/4 cup of that delicious stock in there. That should suffice, because the sauce later that's really going to do the job. That can reduce too. And the cream sauce is going to be just enough to pull this together. It should do it. Now just looking at this amount here, now this we're going to take, we're going to season it. And we're going to chill it nice and cold for when we have to make the ravioli, whether it's today or tomorrow. So this is done. Don't cook it so fast now. Just lower the flame. I'll put in some brandy. Oh, I missed the pot. Well, there's the brandy. That's 1 tablespoon of brandy. Put some salt, sea salt. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon. And I'm going to taste it. Shake a little. Not much. You don't want to burn people's throats. And now this has to taste good. So we'll get the scallions. Can't taste too much because I'll wind up eating this. Guess what? That's perfect seasoning. It definitely tastes like lobster. And now we're going to make the sauce. So let's get rid of this right here. Just take it and put it on a plate. Wrap it in saran wrap, put it in the refrigerator. Now we're going to make the sauce. I'm going to be using the same skillet that we just took everything out from. And this hot. And I'm going to put the remainder of the cream sauce in there. Actually, I should have gone the other way. Why? Because I like that pot better. But first, this has to have a little reddish color. So to get that reddish color, we shall take a teaspoon of paprika. That'll give us the color, and if it doesn't, then we'll add some more. I want this to be off-white, a little pinkish, like Newburgh. Let that reduce just a minute. Not even a minute. So we're going to add that to the cream sauce that's left. And this time when we're done, I will be straining this because the sauce has to look pretty. To the sauce that's cooking very nicely, I'm going to add a teaspoon of sea salt. The consistency is like perfect, just coating that. So we used everything. Now I'm going to really nice. Finish that off with a tablespoon of brandy, and now I'm going to strain it, and then cool it off. Another shot of cayenne, and I guarantee you we have plenty of sauce here for the raviolis. And when you heat this up, it should be a little bit thicker, because that's what happens if you refrigerate a sauce with roux in it. All you have to do is just add a few drops of milk or a few drops of water, because this was made from water. It's not going to really dilute it, because it is nice and flavorful. And there you have a cream of lobster soup. Pay attention, follow this exactly. That is like outstanding, I'm happy to say. The next we have to do, this is only the filling and the sauce for the ravioli. There will be another recipe how to make the ravioli with the dough, because this is taking too long. This is the strained sauce, nice and smooth. You will definitely have to add a little milk or cream to this, because right now just a drop too thick, which is no problem at all, but it is very tasty. It's almost a quart. So I'm saying the amount of raviolis that can be made from this recipe, this should be good for 6 people, but we'll find out after I make the recipe for the raviolis and the dough. Enjoy.